Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedeva Sarvakarishu Sarvadam Ganganapate Namaha Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sarvamangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita Namaste Say, Namaste Say, Namaste Say, Namo Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. Shri Hanuman Ji Maharaj Ki Jai. धर्म की जय हो, धर्म का नाश हो, प्राणियों में सद्भावना हो, विश्व का कल्याण हो. नमः पार्वती पतये, हर हर महादेव हर. ओम नमो नारायणाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 5th of December 2024. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan, residing in the heart of every being. I just want to make a few comments today because we have a little less time. And that is just to continue a couple more clarifying points from yesterday on this whole concept of Urmi. And the Urmi we were looking at, that is Shoka, meaning the distress, the agitation within, which is so common in life, unfortunately. It is there, no doubt. And how does that connect with sadhana and krupa? What is the connection in this way? I want to try to clarify that a bit more because it's very, very easy to misunderstand it. People have misunderstood it and have created a lot of chaos in their life because of not understanding this, not realizing what is this proper connection. So let's see if I can put it in simple terms a bit. It is true that the Jivatma is within the realm of three gunas of Maya. That much is a fact. We can understand that, we can accept that. Now, because the Jivatma is within the three gunas of Maya, the experiences of Sukha and Dukkha, the continuum, and as well as the Urmis, all six Urmis, this is going to be present in some form or another. But there is a stage of realization of the Atma that is undisturbed Anandam. There is such a realization, there is such realization, not a realization. There is such realization. That is called Gunatit. Now, to reach that realization, for a devotee, a bhakta, who says to the Lord, I am yours and I want to reach you, what Bhagavan does by Krupa, Bhagavan resets the way Prakriti is moving around the Jivatma so that Jivatma can be liberated from Prakriti. This is what's interesting. I was explaining yesterday some incidences just from my own life, but there's no one to blame. There's absolutely no blame for anybody. It sounds strange, but if a bhakta sets a destination to reach Bhagavan, Bhagavan Swayam, he begins to change the entire Prakriti, meaning the flow of life energy, life forces, the flow of experiences, it changes. It changes in such a way for that Jivatma so that a doorway remains straight into moksha and no other doorway remains. Now, this is very interesting. That only happens to those who only want God. It doesn't happen to anybody else. People say all the time, I want God, like a shopping list. It's not like that. भगवान ऐसे मिलते ही नहीं किसी को. भगवान किसको मिलते हैं? जिसको भगवान ही चाहिए. और किसी को नहीं मिलते. भगवान की माया मिलती है. भगवान नहीं मिलते. That's the difference. That's the difference between Ramakrishna Paramahansa and thousands and thousands and thousands of other devotees of Devi. फर्क क्या है इसमें? Ramakrishna Paramahansa doesn't want something from the goddess. He wants her, not something from her. And that's the big difference. Now, we are not at that stage. We always want, something here and there. We don't want trouble in our life, obviously. So yes, that automatically will be taken care of. Because think of it this way. If we have Bhagwan ka sakshatkar ho jata hai, to iske, what is beyond that? I mean, whatever the Maya of God provides, that will not be Maya anymore. The house that we're living in, the same house, is not Maya. It is the abode of God. The car that we are driving in, it is no longer a car within the three gunas of Maya. Even though it is within Prakriti, it has taken on a divine tattva, divine form. Because the bhakta is sitting inside there, a great sage is sitting inside there. Koi bandhan nahi hai. So the resetting happens once the destination is set only towards God. Total resetting from inside out will happen. For example, if a person wants to go to Mars, let's use a worldly example. There are a lot of astronauts are there. NASA has big training, and so many countries in the world have training to go to the outer space. But a person sets a destination, I'm going to go to Mars. And they graduate from the high school, they start from college, they get to astronomy degree, they get the training. And the destination is so clear, come what may, this is the goal. Now that's a huge goal. How many people are going to be selected for that? 5 people, 7 people, whatever the mission might be. It's not a small thing. It takes years to get there, years to come back. Total dedication. Is the person going to live their normal life? Sure they are. But they're not going to waste time on extraneous things. Time is spent completely, maximum time is spent on training, studying, preparation to reach that destination. The higher the goal, the more concentration, focus is required. Those who have set the destination for realizing Bhagwan and only God, come what may, everything begins to transform from inside out. And Bhagwan opens the doorway into moksha. He's got the key. Paramatma ke paas wo chavi hai. And Prakriti becomes a devotee. Meaning what? Prakriti becomes completely realigned for the devotee to reach Bhagwan. Prakriti doesn't cause any obstacle. Kabhi bhi nahi. Mahamaya is never a problem. Mahamaya is Shakti. Mahamaya, the Shakti inside Mahamaya can function as binding in the 3 gunas. It can function as liberating out of the 3 gunas. Either way. Like in the case of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Vivekananda Swami, I'm using these 2 as an example, but there's so many others. Prakriti functioned as a liberating force. For them, of course, but for millions who came afterwards. They were not bound. Vivekananda Swami was not bound inside the worldly experience. In fact, the story goes, Vivekananda Swami could have gone into Samadhi, but Ramakrishna Paramahansa prevented that from happening. He says that you can try as much as you want. I'm holding the key. You will not be able to go there until you do the work that is required here. Otherwise, he'll just wind up in Samadhi and he'll not come back because he was a rishi from previous incarnations or something like them, stories like that. So Vivekananda Swami did a lot of dhyan, lot of meditation, so much. He was a pure urdhvareta brahmachari. He had, unke paas jo medha nadi thi, medha nadi opened up, photographic memory. Whole encyclopedia he can read one time and remember every page. They had tested him, in fact. It is called medha nadi. When a person observes brahmacharya for 12 years or more without any break, then that special Shakti opens from the brain, from brain mind, is called Medha Nadi. So there are yogis and sadhakas, and some few people are noted in the history where this has happened. So Vivekananda Swami was one of them, and he would just read one time. He can see the whole picture. He can see the whole page. What page this is on? What page? Thousands of pages were read, and he has everything memorized. How it is possible? It is an immense power. But even then, only when the time came, when the work was done, he can go into samadhi. Why? Because they have come to bless the world. They have not come to be bound in the world. That's the difference. This is a whole Sant Parampara. हम जो कहते हैं हमारी जो सनातन धर्म की जो संत परंपरा, इसका महिमा क्या है? यही महिमा है. This is its greatness. That these amazing souls, they descend not to be bound or because of some causal body. No, they have been sent by God or by great beings beyond who they are. They have been sent to do certain work here for seva, for the upliftment of the jivatma out of the bondages of Maya. And even in their life, they have to go through all kinds of changes because they have taken a body. But by the grace of Paramatma, they are given the opportunity to finish their work and go back to where they came from, or go back into the mukta state. But they can be bound also. Yes. It doesn't matter how liberated a person may be, unless one is an incarnation, somebody comes into this world, one can wind up completely degraded into the Prakriti. There is a statement like this in Swaminarayan Sampradaya where it is written this way, that if a liberated being takes birth in this world of Prakriti, they can get stuck in the life and death cycle for billions of lifetimes. Even a liberated being can get stuck. That is a power of Maya. Maya ka bandhan ka jo power hai, the binding power is so phenomenally intense because it's a divine power. It's not any ordinary power. It is so extraordinarily intense that even liberated being comes and they get caught up inside the three gunas of Maya for some reason. They can get trapped for billions of lifetimes, and they can wind up degrading into the lower life forms even. Can you imagine this? It's a shocking thing, actually. It usually doesn't happen, but it can happen. It usually doesn't happen because they are already born with the liberated knowledge, so they constantly are in that state, so they don't get bound usually. But they can. Yes, it's possible. If that can happen to them, there's no question of anybody. Everybody else is already stuck inside the Mahamaya. Right? So the way out of the Mahamaya is where Mahamaya, by the Krupa of Mahashakti, she says, okay, I'm going to release you. She's the jailer. She says, I'll release you. You want to be released? I'll release you. But she's not, as I mentioned many times before, she's not going to release anybody unless you only want 100% to be released from Mahamaya. And that itself is very difficult to even understand. Isko samajhna, ye bhi bahut difficult baat hai. Then to live that kind of life is even much more, it's at a different level. And then to set the destination of that kind, Dheo Narayano Hari, without wavering is the ultimate thing. Kiske paas hai wo? We get deflected somewhere. Even the yogis, they get deflected by the siddhis. Siddhi sab aati hai. And then they get caught up in that. All kinds of name, fame. You see sometimes, now we're not criticizing anybody, but it happens with gurus and teachers and all that. They become very famous and they have huge organizations and, lots of books are written and this is written and there's a big following and, 5 million followers on Facebook and 5 million followers on YouTube. You can get caught up in that and degrade back into an ant. Literally, and I'm not joking on that. There is a story in the Upanishads, I think I mentioned this before, where a great sage is sitting, enlightened sage, and all these ants are at the feet of the sage, and the sage says these were all Indra Devatas from past lives, and they got caught up inside Maya and they have degraded into the ant body. Think about this. ये कितनी amazing बात है ये. So we don't realize what the scriptures and what the great sages have given us. They have given us a doorway permanently out of Maya, if we want it, as in the human body. That's why Shankaracharya ji Swayam kehte hai, has mentioned this shlok so many times, and it's the second shlok in Vivek Chudamani, right? Durlabam trayame vetad devanugraha hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshraya. Shuddha tivra mumukshutvam kiske paas hai? But if we have it, and the only person Sachin has to see is Sachin, not anybody else. See, it's like this. When a person is admitted into an ICU unit in the hospital, they're suffering, their problems are there, their family members are there. Yeah, even the person who may be admitted wishes well for all, but they're interested in solving their problem. They got admitted to solve their problem. They're not, their thinking is not about how to solve other people's problems. The doctors will take care of that. You have to solve your problem. And this is the point, that when a true mumukshu is there is 100% attention on oneself, where one is bound, and how to get unbound, and to be connected into the mukta state, into that Paramatma. And there is no deflection from that, because one does not want to be trapped inside the cycle of birth and death. Cycle of birth and death, if we see it and if we believe it, ये एक श्रद्धा का विषय है. It's a matter of shraddha, that thousands of years of spiritual wisdom is there behind this. Is that what I want? Like if I ask myself, for example, I don't have any kids, but just as an example, my brother has a niece. Let's say, for example, I'm very involved in her life. I love her, care for her, everything is good. Up to that point is okay. But मेरे मन में जब आसक्ति आ जाती है, finished. Then in the future lifetimes, the Jivatma will become a child in her family somewhere. Is that what I want? I have to ask myself only, not anybody else. क्या चाहिए? भगवान चाहिए कि ये चाहिए? This is anteyamati sagati. मैं आपको सब references दे सकता. I'll show you. Sachin is not making these things up. This is from all of these years of study and contemplation. I can show you what the scriptures are saying. Somebody might say, I don't believe in all that thing. Then that's okay. Jo karna wo karo. But the fact is that these scriptures are spoken from the enlightened stage. I have to see, not anybody else. What do I want? Where is my mind stuck and attached? Can I see all the people around me as only Brahman, as only Bhagwan ka hi sab swarup hai? But enough. Then there's no binding with anybody. But if not, I'm so internally, jab asakti isko kehte hai, so trapped from inside. Then Bhagwan says, you want to go there? I'll send you there. It happens. Somebody can become a bird in that person's life. People, how we go to the pet store and we buy a bird? It's not that we are buying a bird like that. There's a karmic connection from past lives. That's why that being has come into you, and you have to serve that being in that body. No, nothing happens. We think we're doing these things randomly. Aisa hai hi nahi. Even if you buy one goldfish and it comes to your house and you're feeding that goldfish, it is a karma from the past. It is a past connection with somebody in the past. Think about this. Nothing happens. Now, you can do that, but break the karma connection. Just say, Bhagwan ka vaas hai sab. Then there's no issue. The karma connection stops. And it's only lila, it's only love. Otherwise, there's a karma connection, definitely. When a child is born in the family, that is because of the karma connection with another Jivatma. Vachanamrut explains this very intensely, Garuda Pratham 17. It's a transcendental, I have not talked about this, very uppar ki level ki baat hai, how that connection works. It doesn't happen randomly. There is a connection somewhere. And that is how this cycle of life and death, the whole Prakriti is interlinked this way. And that is divine also, no doubt. But if we want out of that constant circularity of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If we want out of it into the dham, Bhagwan ka jo dham hai, wahan jana hai, then that is a possibility through the human body, through scriptures, through great sages, through satsanga, through the enlightened beings. If we want to go outside the Brahmand, this is Vivek Chudamani. Vivek Chudamani has stated very beautifully, there's 14 lokas, Vairagya up to Satya Loka. And then when you cross that, then wo alokik dunya hai sab. You see, so this is the reality. And while we're alive, I have to ask myself, what do I want? Where are my entanglements? Where isko asakti kehte hain. In Gujarati it is called asakti versus bhakti. I can still see my brother, my niece, my this, my that, but completely divine vision, sab divya hai. प्रश्न ही नहीं है इसमें कि कौन मेरा है, कोई है ही नहीं मेरा. द एंड ऑफ स्टोरी. एक ही तत्व मेरा है, वो भगवान के चरण, भगवान के 2 चरण, वो ही मेरा है. और कोई, nobody else is mine, nothing else is mine, because it is not actually. It is going to change. But if I want to be connected with that Jivatma, then at some point in that family, the birth has to be taken there. You know how this works? Birth is taken because you want to help people also. That's very interesting. Let's say Sachin says, I want to spread satsang for millions of people. So Bhagwan kehte, okay, I'll give you 100 lifetimes to do that. Kya chahiye? What we want, it is called Mahakaran Sharir. Mahakaran Sharir is the vasana of the liberated beings. That they are driven to spread the teachings, driven, because their desire is there. Now, one can still do seva without the Mahakaran Sharir. Then that is something very special. That is where that there's no personal vasana active that I want to bring thousands of people into the light of God, like the bodhisattvas from the Buddha tradition. It's not like that's there also. It's great stuff, very high level, but it's still another type of vasana. It will cause rebirths. Definitely. Even the desire to help anybody in this sansar will cause lots of rebirths. Definitely. Because we want to help people. So you have to come take birth for that. That's the way it goes. So does it mean we shouldn't have desire to help people? No. We are in that state of always helping everyone, seva, but there is no sense that I am helping anybody. The problem comes that I am doing. But if that ichha is there, that thousands should be liberated, one has to take rebirth. There's no way out of that. Because how else it will happen? Rebirth is only stopped when a devotee wants only God and nothing else, not even to help, not even to bring salvation to anybody. Unless the only exception is if such a devotee is sent by God. And there are those kinds of special beings also. They're not born because they have their desire to bring everybody into the abode of God. They are sent by God. Wo alag baat. Like Ramakrishna Paramahans, the incarnations, they are sent. They don't have their personal desire to bring 100 million people into the abode of God. But if you have that, because a person is so close to the highest realization, they cannot help but have the desire to bring millions into what they have found. That is called Mahakaran Sharir. Isko kehte hai mukton ki vasana. It's a very difficult thing we don't talk about this. It bahut uppar ki level. When you are near level of Shankaracharya ji, near that, you become almost like Shiva. Then this thing becomes applicable. Isko Mahakaran Sharir kehte. Amazing stuff, folks. Let's stop here for now. Om Dhyanamulam Gurur Murti Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam Pujamulam Gurur Padam Mokshamulam Gurur Krupa Tameva Mata Chapita Tameva Bandhusha Sakha Tameva Vidya Dravinam Tameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Divilingaya Namaha Urdvalingaya Namaha Anandalingaya Namaha Atmalingaya Namaha Paramatmalingaya Namaha Dvadas Jyotirlingaya Namo Namaha ओम नमः शिवाय। ओम श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डायै विच्चे। ओम ग्लौं हुं क्लीं जुं सः ज्वालय ज्वालय ज्वल ज्वल प्रज्वल प्रज्वल। ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डायै विच्चे ज्वलहं सं लं क्षं फट् स्वाहा। ओम दुर्गे दुर्गे रक्षिणी ठ स्वाहा। ओम श्री दुर्गार्पणमस्तु। ओम श्री राधा कृष्णार्पणमस्तु। ओम ह्रीं